Ernest Scared Stupid on DVD for day one of 31 in my 31 days of horror for 2024. So I grew up watching this movie on VHS, and I grew up being very scared of this movie, but loving it. I want to say I was 6 years old when this came out, if it came out in 1991. So part of why I watched it was because I love this movie and I have fond memories of it, and I haven't seen it in a while, so I figured it'd be a good opener for the 31 Days of Horror. But another reason I'm watching it is because I'm like, is it really that scary? Can I just show this to my kids? The short answer is yes, it is that scary. It's like a full on horror movie. It's like a horror comedy that happens to have kids in it. And it has humor that kids might like, but it's also very scary. So, did it hold up nowadays for an older person watching it? Yes. I was laughing out loud and I really enjoyed it. And there are several examples of why this movie would never be made today. So if you haven't seen this movie, go watch it. But I'm going to go through it and just talk about parts I liked, parts I thought were funny, and examples of how this thing could never come to pass today. So I'm just going to go through it like it's a book club and it's my turn to talk. So let's retrospectively go through Ernest Scared Stupid together. So I'm a little torn. I'm like, is this movie too scary for my kids? And part of me is like, well, dude, you showed Lord of the Rings to your kids. So how could this movie be too scary? I think the answer is because this movie has a lot of scary stuff happening to kids. I guess Lord of the Rings has a little bit of kids in peril around, like the Rohirrim people. But for the most part, the scariness happens to grown-ups, and this movie is a troll chasing and like taking children one by one. So yeah, it actually is a toss-up. I can't just say I've shown them Lord of the Rings, like I can show them this. So I don't know, what do you think? Do you think kids go watch this? I mean, the answer, I saw it when I was a kid, doesn't really work anymore because I feel like I saw so much stuff when I was a kid that I probably should not have, and I have since not shown some stuff to my kids. I'm trying to gradually introduce them to stuff. Except for Lord of the Rings. I pushed that to the front of the line. I felt like that was important. Man, I love Jim Varney. I miss him. Uh, the opening credits of this movie are actually really funny because it just goes through him and reacting, I guess, to a whole bunch of scary pieces from like super cheesy old black and white horror like monster movies. And it's easy to disassociate this movie from those movies, but by the end of this movie, as I was watching all these like Brussels sprouts troll babies fall from these trees and then sprout from the ground as these like giant prosthetic wearing, like mask wearing trolls just like chasing people around and little kids shooting them with squirt guns full of milk, I was like, oh my gosh, this movie is a modern 1991 version of those crazy off the wall black and white horror campy monster movies. Check it out. I love this music too. It's awesome. Alright, I can't show too much or else they'll get me, but I just want to show those credits. And yeah, so I'm just laughing while it's showing them, and then like I said, at the end of the movie I'm just like, this is one of those movies. One of the things I love about these Ernest movies is how Jim Varney plays so many different characters. Like right now he's playing his Ernest's ancestor.
And here
Check
he
him out.
shall be buried, and this oak tree will seal his fate. Its roots will be...
Look at the bowl cuts on some of these kids. If you had a bowl cut, definitely let me know.
In a book. Yeah, it was a cool report.
Like
Probably
this.
went over your head.
So you can see there's like the long bowl cut on top and then it's kind of shaved underneath. That was like so popular. Everybody had that. And the cooler your bowl cut was, like if it could be shaved underneath the hair and then the hair went over the top of it, like that was just the coolest. Like that was all the cool kids had that. And I remember like some kids could only get it shaved up like a little bit, but like the really cool kids had it shaved up really far. Please tell me somebody remembers that. All right, here's one of many, I would argue, harmless scenes but that just I do not think would be in a movie today. So Ernest has gotten himself stuck in the back of his garbage truck, and it is doing the trash compactor, so he's about to get squished. So he's frantically looking around for some way to stop this. Okay, check it out. He finds a baby doll.
No, don't stick my head in those ears. It's me or you. But I have a feeling it's chocolate. I'll send him a nice card. Don't ever get away with this, Ernest. I know where you live.
What? He's even like, you'll never get away with this, Ernest. I love it. So ridiculous, but that is our first big example, other than the little kid getting chased by a troll in the opening scene, of this not happening today. All right, I know that I can really relate with this lady's line coming up here. Look at her, by the way. It's Yzma and the lady from Holes. Anyway, listen to this line when Ernest confronts her about the garbage.
My property! What are you doing here? Ma'am, I'm just here to pick up all this garbage.
Got no garbage here. Only the expressions of the soul.
Ma'am, I'm an official.
That is, as much as I'm going to want to say that to my wife, I should not, because I actually do have, well, it's not garbage, but I need to clean up and unpack and everything. But there's no garbage here, just expressions of the soul. So one other thing about watching this on DVD, digital video disc, or whatever it stands for, I used to watch this on VHS. I grew up watching on a VHS, and on VHS, it's full screen. And so seeing it on DVD is, I don't think I saw this in theaters. I don't remember. If I did, that would be the one time I saw it in widescreen. So seeing this movie in 1.85 to 1 widescreen is actually really awesome. And I think you could see that the cinematographer framed it so that 4:3 would work. But there's so many shots like this. Yeah, you could cut it, but it feels better. Like the shot composition feels better in widescreen. So even though it's just like this silly comedy, like I love watching it in the proper aspect ratio. So as far as like Ernest's relationship with these kids, I'm going to say there's absolutely nothing wrong with it. It's completely innocent. Ernest has the heart of a child. He's completely without guile, and he's a genuinely good person. But I think another example of why this movie would never be made today is you're just not going to have a movie with minors having this kind of unsupervised relationship with an adult. Even though it is kind of like Ernest is kind of a mentor to them, but he's also like the town, I don't want to say like weirdo, but he's like misfit or outcast. And so a scene like this where it's actually really funny, where Ernest starts going into all these different characters, but this kid's here confiding with him because he's upset. I don't think this would happen in a modern movie.
I don't know what to do. They wrecked our haunted house.
They wrecked your haunted house?
Yeah.
You know, what you need is some of that hysterical perspective, you know what I mean?
Not really.
So of course he's raising up his car higher and higher and higher, which, you know, that jack is just going to go flying. More on that in a minute. But here's one of his awesome, like, personalities. I didn't count, but he plays so many different, like, characters and personalities in this movie.
I'm glad you asked.
Check this out.
It was a dark night in lower Botswana. Giant hula flies filled with the still air. Then it came, the screeching war cry of the Ottoman horde. We're the Ottoman, and you're not. You're in a world of it now, pal. Oh my, I'm afraid. You...
It just goes on and on. He plays so many different characters. Anyway, so this kid is just sitting there like watching him while he's going through these characters, and I don't know, like obviously it's just totally silly, but it's just like, is he really doing this, or is he just doing the voices and this is how it comes across? Like, it's kind of ends up being kind of like a fantasy movie, but it's just it's so awesome how he can just do all these different personalities. And like I said at the beginning, I found myself just laughing out loud for multiple parts in this movie, and I'm by myself in a hotel. But so maybe I can show it to my kids. I don't know. Some of these dwarf parts or not dwarf parts. The troll parts, some of them are very scary. So I don't know. Maybe I will. But I was laughing out loud. I was having a blast watching this again. Oh, and my question of why are the kids talking to Ernest? I think it's because both the parents are at work and because Ernest is available. And again, they view him as like a friend and a mentor. All right, so this Jack is about to blast out of there. So watch in the lower left portion of the rear windshield of this car. So before the Jack even hits it, there's like a hole gets shot through it or something. It's kind of crazy. Check it out.
Step one
Listen.
is tree selection. With the right tree, we can build an impregnant fortress, armed with nuclear rays.
Just every line in this movie is great, and every line that Ernest says, like if you just listen to him, and you're not engaged, it'll just go over your head. But if you're actually listening to the words he's saying, like it's really funny. Like, did you hear him just be like impregnate fortress? Anyway, it's great. This is when hanging out with Ernest becomes not so fun, when he starts scaring the crap out of them. Listen to this.
And if he ever gets loose, he'll go after the children first. And he turns
The kids aren't
into
smiling
little
anymore.
dolls, which gives him his power. And that ugly little rascal is still alive down there.
So Ernest, of course, wakes up the troll, and he looks like this. He's terrifying. You get a lot better shots of him, but I wanted to show you like an awesome shot of Ernest that just straight out of a horror movie. Look at this awesome dark shot, and you can just see his eye. And this movie uses a lot of Dutch angles when they're trying to be scary or unsettling, so it's kind of fun. When it goes that way, you're like, it's gonna be scary. All right, here's where it gets into full-on like actual horror movie. Like some people are like, no, it's just a scary kids movie, no, like look at this. I feel like this is, you'll see, actual horror movie.
All right, civilization. See you guys. I'm already late. My mom's gonna kill me.
Yeah, I'm out of here too.
Later, dude. See y'all tomorrow.
Okay, we're just splitting up. You have lone kid by himself, and he's terrified. There's a couple little fake like jump scares and lightning and everything, but they have the scary cinematography kind of going backwards so you don't see what's in front of him. So it sets it up so that it could go either way. It could just be him being scared, or something could be after him. Like right here, he fell in the water. So you're like, oh, okay, that's the scary thing. He's gonna be okay now. And this next part is downright sinister.
Hey, I got you.
Thanks, Ernest. You saved me. I thought it was a goner.
And then he is a goner. It's nefarious. It actually uses Ernest's voice. Yeah, and then this kid gets turned into a little wooden doll and taken away, and they obviously it ends happy. It's a kids movie, but like, dang. So it's doing the thing where it's building up to it, where you're like, oh, okay, something's gonna happen, but he'll be okay. No, he actually gets got by the thing. So that's why I'm saying that this is a horror movie, because it does those horror movie tropes, but then instead of him getting away, he actually gets got. It's like a slasher movie, and he's the girl running around by herself. So there's certain references that he makes that definitely date this movie as an early 90s movie, but I love this Mario reference. Listen to this.
Me? Stop that thing? You got the wrong guy.
You are the direct descendant of the Reverend Phineas Worrell. It's your legacy.
Yeah, but I'm me and he's he, and we're talking real danger here. Stand and deliver. Fire in line. Moment of truth. Into the line. 8th level Mario Brothers.
You are the only
8th level Mario Brothers. I mean, seriously, 8th level Mario Brothers? That's hard stuff. So, I mean, I kind of get where he's going from, or what he's getting at. So here's just another example of, I think she represents how a lot of parents would be feeling with their kid hanging out with Ernest. Again, I think he's harmless.
Where have you been?
I was with Ernest setting troll traps.
Kenny, you have no business being with Ernest.
Mom, I gotta find out. It's really important.
Kenny, you come back here.
Oh, that didn't work. He got away, lady. Like, your soft voice didn't work on him. He rode his bike away from you. There's nothing you could do. Anyway, I just think it's funny. She's saying what modern people would be thinking, like, why is he hanging out with this guy? All right, again, you have the classic horror scene where the person checks under their bed and, you know, there could be something there and it could just get them right then, or it could be like, oh, nope, there's nothing there. And in a kid's movie, that would be it. But this is a kid's horror movie. Not a kid's scary movie, it's a kid's horror movie. Okay, so nothing's under the bed.
It's just you.
So she goes back to bed, and I'm trying to think of my 5 and 3-year-old daughters watching that scene. What would they think? I don't know. It's terrifying. It could give them nightmares. I don't know. I mean, but I definitely didn't worry about giving them nightmares with Lord of the Rings. But do you see what I mean? That this is a straight up horror movie that happens to have kids in it? All right. This is one of my favorite parts of this whole movie. So before I show that part, one of my favorite aspects of this movie is, yeah, Ernest is a goofball, but he's also like, he has like his like hero's journey as well. And he ends up being really brave and like facing things and actually like fighting things. Because a movie nowadays, if you had kind of like a dweeby or outcast skinny guy like Ernest, they might be tempted to make him more effeminate, but he's actually really masculine in that he's like fights off the troll and stuff. But look at this scene that shows, one, that he's a strong, brave guy, or trying to be, and two, a 4th grade flashback.
I've never been a quitter. Why? Well, I've never known when to quit. Just ask my 4th grade teacher.
He never knew when to quit.
Here's some classic scary, genuine horror violence. Again, I do like that Ernest is a fighter. Watch this though. I've always loved this scene.
Put in reverse.
How about a bumper sandwich, booger lips?
I'm pretty sure if you watch that part in slow motion, his head comes off. Here we go. Gets him right in the face. He goes down. Almost looks like his torso separates as well. It's like he just totally falls apart down there. I love watching things in slow motion. Here we go. Manly Ernest standing up to the challenge. Not only standing up to the challenge, declaring he's going to kill this thing. And I think that's another thing that sets this apart from modern movies, is this movie has a clear good versus evil, and good can kill evil. But I love this line.
First, find some way to beat this thing.
I'll tell you how we beat this thing. I'll tell you how we do it. My great-great-granddaddy put him in that hole, and so can I. Somebody with a runny nose is gonna die.
Yeah. All right, this is simultaneously a 50s campy monster movie, but also specifically a 90s movie. So once these little guys fall on the ground, all these little Brussels sprout slime things, they turn into more trolls, right? But I watch this. I love that as the trolls come out of the ground, they straight up just look like 90s action figures. Like they come out of the ground already dressed and with like accessories. Like you could just imagine those in a package. Look at these 90s action figure trolls with club accessory. All these guys. I'm not gonna lie, I could just imagine going to the store and like trying to collect all of these different troll action figures. Maybe if this movie had performed as well as they hoped, they would have made action figures of these guys. I definitely would have bought them all. No, I wouldn't, because I was a child. I would have whined and complained and hoped I got them for Christmas or something. Some good old-fashioned bat violence.
This looks like 3 more RBIs.
Seriously, like, feels like a zombie movie at this point. Alright, so watch what happens when a troll gets sprayed with milk. Look at this. There's like blood and bones and stuff in there. It's like super gory. It's like a pile of blood and slime, and there's like a rib cage sitting there. Holy crap. Also, did you see the kid super soaker? Alright, there's a line coming up here that I myself, and I'm pretty sure everyone else, for their entire lives, every time they see one of these things, they think this line. I'll point it out.
Trolls, is it?
Oh, great. I have to defend the fort with a multiple personality.
Right here, right here.
Oh, look, they're using those hook things. Where's my machine?
Those little hook things. I mean, am I the only one that just gets super excited every time they see one of those in real life or in a movie? Ooh, they're using those little hook things. I love this final heroic act of Ernest. Not his final act, but in the movie.
Come on, Double Ugly. You do pretty well against little kids and dogs. Let's see how you deal with a real man.
Yeah.
Come on.
Calls himself a real man. And you have the flame separating all the people, and the people start chanting, "Kill him, kill him." And then Ernest remembers the prophecy where it has to be like a mother's love or whatever. And he hugs and dances with and kisses it and gets snot all over his face. And its head explodes. This is his face after he kisses it. So gross. And from receiving a kiss, this happens. Or I guess having somebody treat him with love, but look at this. In slow motion. That's amazing. Just chunks. There's like blood and juice and snot. Head chunks flying everywhere. It's almost like RoboCop, where that guy gets hit by the car at the end. So it ends super happy. The town people are happy with him. He's a hero. And this movie's awesome. It's a total blast. Perfect Halloween movie. I'm about 50-50 on showing the kids. But what do you think about my idea that this really would not be made today? Like, there's no way. And that it's just feels like a straight up horror movie. Like, it's like action comedy horror, but like there's a lot of horror elements in here. So anyway, what do you think? This has been Ernest Scared Stupid on DVD. Thank you for joining me for this Ernest Scared Stupid review of my 31 Days of Horror. And I'll see you on the next one. Subscribe if you like this kind of thing. Bye.